So unaccustomed as I am to delivering sermons, that was also a joke that nobody laughed at. Yes, it wasn't funny. The truth of the matter is that it's been a season of delivering sermons. And I have to say that there's so many things I want to say thank you for, but none more than the response to the words that we shared during the course of the holiday. I have to say that I've been doing this for a while. This is 30 years in the rabbinate for me. I didn't start last week, Been through a lot of Rosh Hashanah, the beginnings of New Year's, and Yemei Kippurim, days when we're asking for forgiveness. And in all the years that I've been doing this, I've received comments all the time, but not quite as many as I received here. So I want to thank everybody for sharing their thoughts and their feelings. Some of you agreed, amazingly, with actually some of the things that I had to say, which was actually the most surprising aspect of it all. And some of you had further questions, which I actually thought was wonderful, to say out loud that I didn't quite understand something, Rabbi, or did you mean this? Most rabbis, when somebody comes to them is angry at the Kiddush after a sermon, they say, you said this, and then you try to say, I didn't actually say that, but that's okay. If that's what you heard, that's okay. But people were not angry. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to emphasize that. People seem to be very much in tune with all of us, and so I appreciated the opportunity. I also think, by the way, since Rabbi Mass is here, just to say, we have such a contrast in styles, and that's actually okay. That's really, because we're a team. We do things differently. We're not carbon copies of one another. We try to find ways in which to honor each of us and to bring the gifts and talents that we have to the service, to the experience, to our kehillah. And that's a great bracha. It's a great bracha to all of us, but it's also a great bracha, I think, to the members of the congregational family. So if you need bad jokes, you go to Rabbi Mass. By the way, you look very good in red. Very good in red, Rabbi. Very, very good in red. Red we are wearing today, of course, it's a special day. If you didn't hear it, go back and play back. We can tell you more about it. So once again, good Shabbos, and again, Shana Tova, in case I didn't have a chance to greet you personally. The parasha for today is Parashat Ha'azinu. And it is the second to the last parasha, Torah portion that we have in the 5 books of Moses. And it consists, as you probably saw today, with only one chapter, chapter 32, which, by the way, in Hebrew letters is Lamed Bet, which spells out Lev. It's not an accident, by the way, Lev. In many ways, this is the heart of what it is that Moshe Rabbeinu wants to share with us from his heart to our hearts. And it is a single shirah, a poetic song that God dictated to Moshe, according to the Midrash, on the final day of Moses' life. And then he was instructed to teach it to the children of Israel. Now this is a little strange. It's one thing for God to teach Moses something, but really a song, doesn't that seem a little pithy, a little too simple, maybe a little bit trite? So what is the meaning and, more importantly, the spiritual import of having a shirah, having this song as part of our parasha for today? I want to go back to the parasha for a moment, actually back to Parashat Vayelech. And it says there, and now write for yourselves this song, Hashirah Hazot, this song, and teach it to the children of Israel. Place it literally in their mouths so that they will bear witness to me and to the fact that I am the God. And when you are entering the land flowing with milk and honey, you'll remember to share this shirah, this song with your children. For I know the inclination, says God, of the children of Israel, and I know what they are planning to do. Even before I bring them into the land, I'm going to tell you that they are going to do what? They're going to transgress, they're going to sin. And what does Moses do? He writes this shirah down, and he teaches it to the children of Israel directly into their ears, ha'azinu, into their oznaim, into their ears. God seems to be saying to Moses, look, Moses, despite your best efforts, when you die, and yes, you are going to die, we heard about that today in the parasha, this people is not going to follow in your ways. They are going to transgress. And it is unclear what God means when God says that Moses and the children of Israel shall bear witness against them. What does those words mean? We're not exactly sure. Maybe God means that when the people sin, God will point to them and say, remember the song? Remember what I told you? You should have known better. And now I will punish you for what it is that you have done. That's one possibility. It's not my favorite possibility. Here's what I like better. The other possibility, I think, is that this song somehow will protect the children of Israel from transgression. So when they come close to violating God's law, when they are tempted to stray, they will remember the words of the song, because we remember songs much better than we remember just words. And they will remember the crucial life lessons that Moshe tried to teach. And this will help the children of Israel, all of us, turn and return to God. The song Shirat Ha'azinu, the song of this parasha of Ha'azinu, somehow, quite remarkably, I think, will help repair the broken relationship between God and the children of Israel. The question is, which interpretation is right and which interpretation do you like? You know that I already like the second one better. Shirat Ha'azinu is poetic and difficult to understand. But when studied carefully, it shares with us a striking story. In its closing verses, Parashat Ha'azinu has a bit more to tell us about what happened to Moshe Rabbeinu, to Moses, our greatest of teachers, in the final day of his life. God commands him to walk up Mount Nebo. By the way, it's probably not the one, if you went on a trip to Egypt, that they said, this is Mount Nebo with the little kiosk there that says Mount Nebo kiosk. Okay, that's probably not exactly the right place. But he says to Moses, Aleh har Nevo, go up to the mountain, and there you'll be able to see the promised land. But you will never actually enter into it, and you will die there at the top of the mountain. These verses are amongst the most poignant in the entire Torah, leaving us to wonder not only why God saw it fit to preclude the holiest of humans, Moses, from enjoying the land of Israel with his people, but also to wonder about what it must have felt like for Moses to be in this moment. A little empathy would be appropriate. A little compassion, I think, would be appropriate. But what was it like for him to walk slowly up the steeps of that mountain to the top, knowing he would not come down alive? I'm not sure. What thoughts crossed his mind when he looked over the land? What were his hopes for his people in these difficult moments? I'm not sure that we can ever fully understand what was going on within Moses' own heart. Moshe Rabbeinu, our great teacher, he ascended the mountain. I believe we can learn one profound life lesson from Moshe, and it's a unique way of thinking about what it is that Moses was experiencing as he's getting ready to leave the earthly plane. Though clearly disappointed, Moses does not complain. Did you notice that? There is no kvetching. He doesn't do what we call in Yiddish mutchering. Mutchering. I don't know how to translate mutcher. Probably mutcher is a good word. You kind of get the sense of it. It's an onomatopoeia. They're kind of going like this, mutchering away. Rather, what does Moses do? He diminishes himself. Unlike so many other leaders, he doesn't step into it. He doesn't lean into it. Rather, he allows himself to be, for that moment in time, just one of the simple folk, just one of the average Joes. He does not make it all about himself. Rather, he makes it about his people and about the future. Halavai, wouldn't it be wonderful if our leaders didn't make it about themselves? Not about their actions and behaviors. Maybe it would be better if people didn't talk at all as they're ending what it is that they're doing. Maybe it would be better that people should try, rather than to talk about it, to do it, to be better versions of themselves. For when we are overly self-focused and thinking only about ourselves, we forget about our grand responsibility. And it is a grand responsibility to young children and to the future. We need to think about our collective and the broader Kihila and the community to which we belong. I know that we're heading away from the time of the year, Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, which are, I think, hopelessly almost focused on ourselves, almost exclusively on the things that we have done and how we can improve ourselves. And I think it's for this reason in particular that Moshe Rabbeinu delivers this particular Shirah, and we read it in synagogue today, because what Moses does in the final precious moments of his sojourn on this earth, he reminds us that we are responsible for one another, that it's about unity and about oneness and about coming together to support and sustain one another. And in this way, Moses secures for himself the most important appellation of all time, and that is the appellation of Moshe Rabbeinu as the greatest teacher of all time, the greatest pedagogue of all time, who tries to teach in his actions and behaviors, not only in his words, how to be influential and how to be somebody of consequence. And he does so, ladies and gentlemen, if you notice, with modesty, with dignity, with class, with aplomb. He does it in such a way to make it quiet. We all remember the teaching from our tradition that when God speaks bekol demamadaka. God speaks in a still, small voice, a kind of a hush and a whisper. So I hope and pray that each of us will listen for the hush and the whisper. And may we each in our own lives merit the opportunity to serve in the capacity of whisperers, not only to our own children, not only to our own grandchildren, but also to the children of our community. Whisper to them the words that Moshe Rabbeinu taught us long ago. Whisper to them the ways in which they are supposed to conduct and comport themselves. Take an opportunity, literally right now, to whisper into the ears of your children, Zaya Mensch, be a good human being. Do what it is that Moshe Rabbeinu tried to do in his lifetime. And that way, you'll give eternity and perpetuity to our people, so that we can always say, Am Yisrael Chai v'Kayam. The people of Israel are alive and well, and we'll say together, Amen. Shabbat Shalom.